Welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. The rains during the past few days have reminded us that the hurricane season is still upon us. Please be careful when crossing or driving through flooded streets. You can be swept away by the high tides, even in a vehicle. Better yet, if you don't need to be out, stay home. Because let's not forget, COVID-19 won't go away because of the rains, only through our adherence to the safety measures. Stay with us. This is the show with the information you need to know.
Whenever you hear the following tone, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, will be giving information on an emergency situation affecting the island. Please be on the alert and listen to your radio and television for further information. This was a test of the emergency alert system, brought to you by ODPEM.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, August 25. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced longer curfew hours for the entire island, among a range of stricter control measures to halt the continued spike in COVID-19 cases. Effective Thursday, August 27, the national curfew is now 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. daily until September 30. However, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Thomas, Clarendon, and St. Catherine will continue to be on the 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew until September 2, after which these 5 parishes will also start abiding by the 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew until September 30. The Prime Minister made the announcement in a virtual press briefing Monday night as another 83 positive cases were reported, bringing the country's total to 1,612. To help reduce those numbers, Mr. Holness also declared that certain church restrictions that were in place for Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Thomas, Clarendon, and St. Catherine will now apply to the rest of the country.
Funeral services will be prohibited. Burials, however, will continue, but with strict observation and enforcement of the 15-person rule. And the 15-person rule includes no more than 10 mourners, with the additional 5 persons comprising the officiating clergy, the funeral officials, and persons preparing the gravesites. Funeral processions in Jamaica as of August 27, 2020 will only be allowed to include the hearse, the vehicles taking the officiating clergy, and the mourners.
These measures also come into effect August 27. However, churches are allowed to continue regular worship services as well as weddings, provided the limit on numbers and other safety protocols are met. As for general election activities, Mr. Holness says the 2 major political parties have indicated that they will suspend drive-through campaigns. In the meantime, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has also announced what he calls a stay-in-home order for residents of several corporate area communities where a clustering of COVID-19 cases has been seen. These are the communities identified recently for heightened monitoring by the health authorities. Effective Thursday, August 27, persons living in these communities will only be allowed to leave their homes for legitimate business, even outside the curfew hours.
Residents in these communities will be allowed to leave home, go to work, to obtain food and medical supplies, access medical services, and conduct businesses and financial transactions. However, if you are going to go out for no good reason, if you are going to go and lighter on the corner or hang out on the corner or just walk about without a purpose, you will be required in these defined communities to stay inside or return to your abode.
This measure does not rise to the level of a quarantine, but is designed to limit unnecessary movement. Persons in these and other areas are also being discouraged from interacting with others not in their immediate households. And in another move to limit interactions that encourage the spread of the novel coronavirus, government has called a halt on the granting of permits for parties and other amusement events for the next 2 weeks. Prime Minister Holness says permits that have already been issued will be cancelled and refunded. He says this is necessary as the surge in positive COVID-19 numbers have been linked to parties, church conventions, funerals, and other such activities where persons are converged.
Try as they may have, and some may have actually tried, it is always going to be difficult. Merriment and partying are not consistent with the conscious behavior that is necessary to stay safe from COVID-19.
While revealing that the police have charged and prosecuted more than 1,000 persons for breaching the Disaster Risk Management Act, he warned that the level of enforcement and prosecutions will be significantly heightened. In other COVID-related news, government will be providing financial assistance to teachers in the private sector who are affected by the pandemic. This was revealed by Education Minister Carl Samuda during the JTA's 56th annual press conference held recently at the Montego Bay Convention Center. The private school educators will access the support under the CARE program offered by the Ministry of Finance. Teachers are to receive a one-off payment of $40,000 each, while support staff will get $10,000 each. The Education Minister is also reminding the public that the Finance Ministry has set aside $50 million to assist students who are not on the PATH program with back-to-school preparation. The phased reopening of the 2020-2021 academic year is scheduled for October 5. Meanwhile, a new infant department has been officially opened at the Wakefield Primary School in St. Catherine just in time for the new academic year. Ground was broken for the construction in July 2019. Minister of Health and Member of Parliament for the area, Dr. Christopher Tufton, opened the department a few days ago.
All around, what we have here is a facility or a compound that will give the best possible opportunities to our young people to evolve and to learn and to grow.
Principal Tamika Riley-Powell says the new infant department will allow the school to monitor students from early childhood all through the primary level.
We'll be able to guide our students and guide their development. We'll be able to facilitate early intervention programs to address any needs our students may have. We also are in a position to foster greater level of academic and social development.
Financing was provided by the Chase Fund, which has also supplied the furniture, kitchen appliances, and perimeter fencing. Mrs. Riley-Powell says Chase has also committed to furnish the play area with required equipment by the end of Term 1. And finally, $43 million is being spent to renovate the St. James Parish Court. The renovations, which is expected to last 4 months, will include tiling, painting, plumbing, electrical installations, and a ramp being built to allow wheelchair access for the elderly and disabled. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck says this is part of the ministry's ongoing renovations and maintenance of courts to enhance the built environment for the delivery of justice services. Approximately $652.5 million is being spent to renovate justice sector infrastructure this financial year, including continued refurbishment of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Manchester Parish Court. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
To properly carry out a hand rub, apply a palmful of the product in your cupped hand, covering all surfaces. Rub your hands palm to palm. Rub your right palm over the back of your left hand with interlaced fingers and vice versa. Rub your hands palm to palm with fingers interlaced. Rub the back of your fingers to opposing palms with fingers interlocked. Rotationally rub backwards and forwards the clasped fingers of your right hand in your left palm and vice versa. Once your hands are dry, they are now safe.
Coming up, we have the latest out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Prime Minister signs Political Code of Conduct, announces new COVID-19 containment measures, and
It is important that we all follow the infection prevention and control measures. Wear your mask, wear it consistently, wear it routinely, hand sanitize, social distance. If you don't have to go out and party, if you don't have to go, just stay home.
You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Anthony Morgan. Prime Minister Andrew Holness and the leader of the opposition, Dr. Peter Phillips, have signed the Political Code of Conduct. Created in 2005, the Political Code of Conduct governs the actions of all legitimate political parties in Jamaica and applies to all officials of political parties. Mr. Holness used Wednesday's signing to call on all candidates and their supporters for the upcoming September 3 general elections to carry out their campaigns peacefully.
There does not need to be any form whatsoever of intimidatory practice, of confrontational practice, or any practice whatsoever, even if you can't be identified with it. It is not necessary in modern Jamaica. It's not necessary at all. It is something that we should eschew, we should repudiate, and we should be on every platform instructing our supporters not to participate in it. Were it to come to my attention, I would definitely see to their prosecution.
The Political Code of Conduct has 8 principles: non-violence and non-intimidation, safety of private and public property, avoidance of confrontation, public utterances, freedom of access, avoidance of defacing of buildings and installation, code of ethics, and political tribalism.
We will bring a law to classify hate crimes in Jamaica. Not just political hate crimes, but crimes that can be seen to be motivated by the characteristic of a person. And that, I believe, would move us in a direction with a stronger step towards eliminating political violence from our culture.
On Friday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced new curfew measures for 4 parishes. Kingston, St. Catherine, Clarendon and St. Andrew have joined St. Thomas with revised nightly curfew running between 7 p.m. and 5 a.m. the following day. The tightened measures in place from August 22 to September 2. The 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew remains in effect for the rest of the island until August 27, when it goes to 9 p.m. daily. At a press conference Friday, Mr. Holness said the revised curfew hours were due to a spike in confirmed COVID-19 cases across the 5 parishes.
If we limit movement, we have a greater chance of limiting spread. And the curfew does help to limit movement, particularly at nights, and that has been very effective in the management of the pandemic.
Mr. Holness also announced that churches are prohibited from holding funerals, conventions, and other civic activities. Churches are, however, allowed to hold regular worship services. Burials are permitted under strict protocols with only 15 persons at the burial site. All outdoor meetings have also been banned.
The population has to realize that it is an offense to violate the infection control and prevention measures that are put into the disaster risk management orders. And indeed, the police force, they have been arresting persons and charging. So we will see the effects of that as the increased enforcement is taking effect right across the island.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness has also announced measures to govern campaign activities in the run-up to general elections on September 3. Among other things, motorcades carrying party supporters by bus as well as drive-thrus will be discontinued.
There is no need for panic. What there is a need for consciousness, for conscious personal responsibility on the part of every citizen. If every Jamaican follows the infection control and prevention measures, wearing your mask if you're out in public, don't gather in more than 20, maintain your social distance, hand sanitize regularly, be conscious about the environment you are in, particularly if you have to take public transportation, we will have no need for these other measures, because then we would have learned how to live and cope with the coronavirus and the COVID-19 disease that it causes.
And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
When a hurricane is approaching, the Met Office puts out watches and warning messages telling us to get our house in order to limit its impact on our valuables and loved ones. But do you know the difference in these messages? Even if you do, a reminder certainly won't hurt. Take a look.
Every month of the year, there has been in our history some incidents of flooding that has taken place in some aspect of the country. And that is something that we have to take note of. Apart from monitoring and giving the forecast, we are also responsible for warnings. And so there are some warnings that we want you to take special heed to if you consider yourself to be vulnerable in any situation. When we speak about a flash flood watch, it means that there is a feature, some kind of weather system that is going to produce enough rainfall that makes it possible for you to get flooding. So it means start to watch because the water levels are going to be increasing and there is the possibility of the flooding. Now, if we start to see that in some area flooding has started to occur, or if we believe that the flooding has been so close to an area that it is going to happen in that area in a short space of time, we will escalate that flash flood watch and refer to it as a flash flood warning. So when we talk about a flash flood warning, it means not only that the flooding is possible, but the flooding either has already started to happen or is going to happen in a very short space of time because it is very close to that area. So it is important to know what the watch means as opposed to what the warning means. Usually with the warning, we will not only issue a warning, but we will also tell you what kind of actions are important or what you should not do. Like do not go through flooded waterways because it could pose a risk to your life and to your property. Also, if you live in low-lying or flood-prone areas, if it is an area that is regularly experiencing flooding, a flash flood warning for your area would mean that now is the time to move to higher ground because the flooding has already started or is going to happen very shortly. It is also important for us to know where we live because sometimes in our messages we might not refer to the actual town, but we will tell you what part of the country the flood watch or the flood warning is relevant to. So if we talk about central parishes, we are referring to Clarendon. We're also talking about Manchester. We're also talking about St. Anne. These are central parishes. So you have to be knowledgeable of where you live so that you know whether the message actually applies to you. The messages that we issue for hurricanes and tropical storms are watches and warnings as well, like the flooding. But in this case, for a tropical storm or a hurricane, when we issue a watch, it means the conditions that are associated with the storm or the hurricane are possible within a certain time frame. If you hear tropical storm or hurricane watch, you could get the impact of that system within a day and a half, 36 hours. If we mention that it is a tropical storm or a hurricane warning, it means that you only have 1 day before that thing can affect you. So we are moving to how quickly you need to make sure that you are prepared by naming it a watch or a warning. So the watch is the first level of the alert that there is something that is likely to affect you. But when we move to a warning, it means now is the time to batten down because you most likely are going to experience that storm or hurricane. We might have a tropical wave, which is the least of them, in that it can still cause a lot of rain and it can still cause flooding and devastation, but it will not have very strong winds associated with it. But then there is the tropical depression that is a little stronger because now you have winds that are moving with it, gusty winds, and it also has a lot of rainfall. Then you have tropical storms, which is a more severe kind of tropical depression because the winds are even stronger. And then if it gets even stronger, it could become a hurricane. So it's important that you have your radio and that your radio is battery controlled, not dependent on electricity, so that you can hear the warning messages that come from the meteorological service. Also bear in mind that if you dial 116, you will be able to hear the latest message coming out of the Meteorological Service related to any warnings. We cannot stop paying attention. We cannot let down our guard. You have to prepare yourself and stay prepared until we are out of the threat.
Motorists, when driving on the road, here are some simple reminders. Look out for and extend courtesy to all road users. Give plenty of room to pedestrians, especially in wet weather. Drive slowly. No bother wet them up. Slow down when approaching a pedestrian crossing or school, and always be prepared to stop. Remember, a school zone is a 30-kilometer zone. Cut your speed. Drivers of large and slow-moving vehicles should always keep in the far left hand of a dual carriageway. Keep it simple. Drive left and pass right. These are just simple reminders of your road duties. Drive safely.
Now that we are experiencing heavy rainfall, a few of our roadways have been impacted by the weather. We must be extremely careful on the road. Whether you walk, ride or drive, do so cautiously. Turn back or wait if you have to. It makes no sense trying to beat the water. It's better to be safe than sorry. Here's a toolkit for safe passage on the roadway.
It could be the cause of a traffic holdup, disturbing the smooth movement of vehicles. It could be the cause of your arrest or punishment, where, depending on the degree of your offense, you're likely to be fined or jailed. It could be the cause of your physical injury, or that passerby having one less leg to depend on. Or it could be the cause of your life or someone else's. If you're realizing the grisly pattern here, then now would be the time to practice road safety. Road safety implies that measures are in place to limit or prevent road crashes or injuries to users of these thoroughfares. Road users include motorists, vehicle passengers, motorcyclists, and pedestrians. Measures for their safety include things like road signs, road codes, or even physical infrastructure.
On the traffic network, we have various road signs. So we have mandatory signs, and we have warning signs, and we have informational signs. So the warning signs are basically those signs that tell you that there is some impediment ahead, there is some issues ahead. So you'll see those are normally in the yellow and the black. So they will tell you that there's a traffic light ahead, there's an intersection ahead, there is a corner ahead, and there are other physical features ahead, or bridge, etc. We have the mandatory sign. These are signs that must be obeyed. If you disobey them, just know that you will be issued a traffic ticket. Those signs are normally red. They normally have a red in them. So keep your money in your pocket by obeying those red signs. So they are normally red and white, or red, white and black. So that's the common feature of those. Then you will see the signs that are informational. Some of them are blue, some are green. Those just tell you where you must go, how many kilometers away you are from a particular township or location.
Now, after you've had a careful look at road signs as you go along, knowing and understanding the road codes becomes just as important. For us, we've seen people disobey some of those rules more than others.
One of the critical road rules that we must understand is that you see the speeding thing that we love, we need to cut it out. The faster you are going, and if you are involved in a collision, the speed at which the vehicle is going, that's the speed your internal organs are going. That's scientific laws, kinetic energy. The other one, serious risk factor, is the whole matter of not wearing helmet and wearing seatbelt. We have had too many drivers and passengers of motor vehicle parachuting out of motor vehicles. Another risk factor that's out there is the whole matter of cell phone usage. Those things can be distracting, right? So we need also to minimize that as best as possible.
Physical infrastructures have also been implemented to ensure a safer passage on our roadways. Observing all these measures becomes necessary because of the severe impact that disregarding them can and have had on our nation's people.
The numbers are always alarming because for a little country like us, and we're gone 178 days, that's pathetic. But last year this time it was 218. Now it's 178, 40 less. These crashes tend to occur on the road surfaces that are nicely laid. That is not to say that they don't occur on the bad roads, The road infested with potholes and bad. I'm not saying that. There are few occur on there, but majority of these fatal crashes are occurring on the nicely laid road sections. And when we look at what contributes to the crashes, we are seeing the human behavior being perpetuated. And we are losing a lot of our young people because of this situation. Must wear our seatbelt, wear our helmet. We have seen over 178 people dead already. Many were not wearing their protective gear. We know that. So we need to reduce those risk factors. We have been giving away our lives on the road, giving it away. 54 motorcyclists dead, all males, many of whom have their family members who they are living for. COVID-19 has caused us to recognize the importance of following rules and regulations in order to try to keep ourselves safe. Because of COVID-19, the spiral of crashes that we were expecting to occur at night, it has reduced dramatically. But what we have seen is that there is still cause for concern because in the day, COVID-19 has not caused drivers to be more careful as they drive on the road. Let us use that same impetus and spirit of wanting to live through Corona to wanting to live as we drive on the road and not put ourselves at risk and not put other people at risk. Let us try to be each other's keeper in this season.
So, while on the road, let's help to protect her life, his life, their lives, and our lives.
You have reached the final page of the magazine. Thanks so much for being with us on today's journey. Another magazine unfolds tomorrow, so come back same time on this same station. Until then, click on our social media pages for more informative features. While there, please subscribe to our pages and channels so you can stay in the know. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Until next time, encouraging you to stay safe.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.